Your city employee, Rick Stork, asked if I was going to put in curb gutter and sidewalk up the properties my family owns. I'll bring this up at the end of the meeting.
Got one more public comment.
Thank you.
Anybody else for public comment?
Good afternoon, Councilman Mayor. Ed Spear, Limited Commission, Executive Director. The one thing I'd like to point out, and I did have our council speak on our behalf today, but I think that I see there's quite a number of people here in the audience, and there are several items on the agenda, so I would like to just kind of see a hand show or something. Who's here with concerns to the railroad and the city of Ely, the financial operations of it? So we have some idea if they're here for what item on the agenda, so you know what the audience is actually looking at, if you wouldn't mind.
I really can't let you do that.
Why can't you? Because I guess the next option would be for everybody that wants to talk about
public comment.
Who wants to talk about that item. Come up here and at least make yourself known that you are here for the railroad. Otherwise, you won't be known.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jim Northland, city resident. I just have 4 questions, and it has to do not with what you're considering, but it has to do with the actual railroad audit. I noticed in the asset side that the Northern Railroad owed the Historical Foundation $8,299. I wonder how that can happen. I also noticed on the liability side that restricted assets, where money has been put into these restricted assets, rebuilding them, buildings and such at the railroad, that the value of these assets has gone down. And I can't understand why you would want to do that unless you're just depreciating off and making liquid asset. Then the final situation I have is that someone stated at a meeting that the accounting for a nonprofit is much different than business and government. But let me ask you this question. If you owe $500,000 and you got zero money on hand, is that a successful business? And that's basically all I got to say. But some of those things could be checked into. I'm not trying to accuse anybody of anything, but I would like those answers. And maybe it's just that I don't know. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Anybody else for public comment?
My name is Shirley Purinton. I'm a private citizen of Ely. I normally don't make public comments, but I feel very strongly about this. I'm here as a supporter of Northern Nevada Railway and Mark Bassett. First, I'd like to point out that this meeting and the last one should have been in the newspaper. People need to know what the city council is planning on doing. People don't know that they want to take over their books. Personally, I feared this would happen when certain city councilmen were elected. I had hope that Randy and Sam might not allow this, but after the last meeting, I realized perhaps Sam was also one of these voting block members. I'm holding out hope that after you hear us all out, some of you will change your mind. Personally, I love this railroad and the hard work that Mark and Joan and the crew and the many volunteers do to keep this historical railway working. I believe that one person in particular, I don't know if I can say his name or I'll be accused of slander, has had a vendetta against the railway and against Mark ever since he was fired. Now he has gathered up enough support from his cronies to take over and shut it down. I think he's a wolf in sheep's clothing and isn't on the city council to serve Ely or us, but to serve himself. I believe he thinks he can do this because many people in this town don't know his real motives and aren't paying attention. I think the city council is counting on most citizens not knowing until the terrible deed is done, until it is too late. This man, who I will not name, but I think most people know, shouldn't have any say as a trustee on this railway because it is obviously a conflict of interest. Please stop this takeover tonight. Remember, you guys are servants to the citizens of Ely, not servants to yourself.
Thank you, Shirley. And next for public comment. Okay, if there is no other public comment.
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor. Before this meeting started, I passed out a letter, passed it down the line. There should be some extra copies of Jennifer. It would take me about 6 minutes to read it into the record. I'm not going to take your time with that right now, but I would like it entered into the record, and if anybody wants a copy of it, I know there are a lot of people in this room that are talking about me who've never met me and don't know me. But I wanted to clear up the issue with some facts. They're in a letter that will be on record. You can read about it if you get a copy from the city. If you want to contact me, I'll give you a copy. I don't want to take 6 minutes unless the mayor allows me to read it.
You can read that into your report.
Okay, I'll do it at that time. So I just want to make that public that I've got a letter on record with the board. Council.
Okay, you keep it on.
Go ahead.
I'm Don Carrington, resident of Ely, and I've been volunteer at the railroad just over 4 years now, and I've seen some of the
Want me to hold it up, Don, for when you come back?
You can go ahead.
All right. Go ahead, Mike.
I'm Lennox Parrington. I'm a citizen of Ely, and I've grown up with an inner line, and I have plans to become an engineer. If the railroad closes, that dream won't be fulfilled. What will happen to Martin, Bill, and Bassett, and the other volunteers and staff? What will happen if people just see an old static train in the middle of the
Lennox,
desert?
take your hands away from your mouth so they can hear you.
Unless people come to Ely, hotels, businesses, restaurants, auto repair shops, gas stations close. Ely will be a mere ghost town along Highway 50. Maybe, just maybe, I'm overreacting, but please do not take over the books. If you do, the railroad will shut down.
Thank you. Anybody else for public comment? John, you want to try again? Okay.
I'm not ready.
Hello, Council. My name is Jade Gelski, and I am a volunteer and citizen of Ely, and I just encourage you all to, before you make a quick decision on this, to really consider people like Lennox and me, the young people of Ely, who really have found something wonderful in the railroad. Before you make a decision, really consider it, because it's going to affect everyone, and people of my age who have years left here that are excited and ready to, bring in a new age to the railroad. If that opportunity goes away because a decision is made that's not right, it's going to be a really sad thing for the city. So I encourage you to really think this out before you make any decisions. That's all.
Tammy Caldron from Ely, Lion Street. I've been listening to all of this. I'm a citizen of Whitehorn County too, and I'm fond of our train. I never heard you guys say you wanted to put them out of business or take over their books, or that seems to be the big holdup here. Somewhere between you wanting to, the $600,000 that's in debt and the $72,000 over 38, whatever that comes out to, that somebody couldn't bring me receipts for. Somehow it got stuck between wanting to get to the bottom of the financial troubles to everybody in town thinks the train's going to shut down. Well, $600,000 in debt, like you said, is not a successful business. You guys are doing an awesome job, and I, for one, appreciate it. And there's a lot of other people more people that feel the same way I do. Thank you.
Thank you, Tam. Anybody else for public comment?
Hello, Council. My name is Anthony DeBellis. I work for the Nevada Northern Railway. I actually came here from Long Island, New York. I'm just in the middle of my college. I came here just to work for the railroad. I really believe what we have here is a treasure. It would be terrible for anything to happen to it, and honestly, I don't know if I would have anything to do with Ely anymore, because that's why I moved out here. I want to see the railroad go through the next century. I want to make sure it's running for another 100 years. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? All the time to speak up. Going once, going twice. That'll end public comment. We'll move on to City Department report. Fire Chief Ross is there. Do you have anything to add to your report? I knew you were over there somewhere.
I have nothing to add except I apologize that we didn't make the training in Vegas for the school district, but I was able to send a representative of the fire department.
Any questions for us?
Any questions on the report?
Anything going on?
Yep. I can do it.
That's just everything's going all right. That's my Kevin. Oh my God.
I can stand here all night.
Where's our maintenance guy, Jennifer?
Does anybody have any tape?
Railroad engineers here. We ought to be able to get someone.
Is there an engineer in the house?
Yeah, so
Can you take the mic off of the little thing there that can hold? Does it come off of it?
oh yeah, come off there.
Why don't you just pull it off of there? They want to have that little staff on it. There you
It's gonna roll around now. I'm gonna sit right here.
go. There you
I've done enough.
go. Okay, now. Podium, Ross. All right, police chief, we got Sheriff Dan Watts, we have his blog. City clerk, treasurer.
Nothing to report at this time.
Okay. City attorney.
No report.
City engineer. DJ, I see you've been standing back there. You're gonna have to hold the mic now.
Uh-oh. That's not good. I mean, I will just kind of be very brief or not say anything at any time. There's nothing critical that I'm doing right now. Working with some public works director, get some budget, some cost estimates together for the budgeting, a few minor things that we're working on. So if there's any questions, I'll answer them. If not, I'll get on to the court stuff.
No questions from BJ? All right, thank you, BJ. Okay, and we have Public Works Director, and I don't think Ron's here. Was he here? Okay, we have the report. All right, so we'll go on to number 4, the mayor will recess the regular city. Okay, I'll go on to number 4. The mayor will recess the regular city council meeting for a meeting of the Ely Liquor Licensing Board. And we're in that. Okay. City council discussion possible action approval of liquor license to Jack Warren Hennigan of JTF Incorporated for the all aboard bed and bistro. Okay. So if we got Jack, this is Jack here, and if you guys have any questions, I'll be looking for a motion.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor, City Council. I'd like to thank the fine citizen of Ely for her comment. I do not know how to bring this up. I would like to introduce Tammy Brownlow, our partner in business, and we have been in Ely now for 6 wonderful, wonderful months. We love the area, we love the citizens that we've come across, and we're very proud of the business that we are operating here. And we are seeking a liquor license to broaden our clientele, broaden what we can offer to our citizens to help make their dinners more pleasurable. I don't know what else to add. I will answer any questions that the board of citizens might have.
We'll see if they make a motion,
I
John.
move to grant this liquor license.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No, I have a question.
Okay.
Before I can vote on this, I need to clarify with our city attorney whether there's any conflict. I am friends with the applicant and his wife, own property next to them. His business operation would not affect me in any way, but does that present a conflict?
As long as you're not committed in a personal capacity to his financial interests, which it doesn't sound like you are. Did he manage your campaign for city council?
No, he did not.
Did he donate generously to your campaign for city council?
Unfortunately, he didn't donate anything.
Just offhand, and you don't have any interest in his business?
No, I do not.
No, you don't have a conflict.
Thank you.
You got a 9 there?
That's enough.
We got a 5-0. Jack, you got your liquor license.
I appreciate it. Thank you, board.
We'll see you over there for that.
Once again, thank you.
Okay, with that, we'll recess the liquor board meeting to White Pine Historic Railroad Foundation Board of Trustees. I'll turn that over to Bill here.
We will open this board of the meeting of the Historical Railroad Foundation Board of Trustees. Before we go on agenda items, the agenda items concerned tonight have nothing to do with shutting the railroad down at all. It's quite contrary. The city of Ely has always taken a stance they want the railroad running steam cars, and not to have a static railroad. We got some audits that weren't quite conducive to a business. There is in November, Mark told us the city council that the railroad is in debt and approximately $590,000. So as a responsible city council, we're trying to do things to help the railroad. So I don't know, whoever is spreading these rumors, that's not what we're trying to do. So we'll move on to the first one, old business. Trustee Setterstrom, discussion for possible action, review all receipts and known paperwork for possible approval of expenditures that comprise the White Pine Historical Railroad Foundation account 255, note payable to Mark and Joan Bassett in the amount of $72,399.22.
Mark, 3.5 years ago, I sent you a request for information, if you recall. It was about this loan. At that time, it was for $38,000. Do you recall that? You mentioned it last meeting when you talked to me. You said yes. Do you remember the request for information?
Yes.
Okay. I wanted that on the record. This is not something new. This isn't something I've come up with in the last 6 months to go after the railroad. This is something I've been concerned about for 3.5 years. 3.5 years ago, the loan was for $38,000 approximately. It now stands at $72,000. That money, as far as I know, does not go before the board for every expenditure that you make. I asked that you stop that loan because I did not think it was proper for an employee to be loaning their employer money. Oddly enough, it comes up as a red flag on the audit, this last audit, which brings it up again. Last meeting, I asked you to bring in the receipts so we can approve it and start a payback program. That's all this was about, is stop the loan and start paying it back. That's what we're here tonight. Did you bring the receipts?
Mr. Durbridge got them Tuesday night, and I have a copy here too.
They were in the public information at the meeting Tuesday night.
I was at the meeting that Tuesday night, and I didn't get any copies of...
We only had one copy, and I gave it to Mr. Durbridge. I thought he would share it with you.
Well, unfortunately, me and Mr. Durbridge don't talk off of council meetings. So I asked you to bring a copy for everybody.
I'm sorry. Mr. Durbridge has said in the past that if I give it to him, he would give it to everyone else. So that's when I gave it to him Tuesday night. I thought he was going to do that.
Get his copy now. He's offered your copy.
I'll take one now.
I only have the one copy, so I had my copy.
You know, the whole idea of this was to approve it so we can start paying down this loan. That's it. The questions I asked you last meeting, the answers you gave us, makes it look like you're hiding something, which I'm sure you're not. But it's just things like this that that keep me questioning what's going on. So, I guess, you know what, before we can all review it, I want to put this on the next agenda to approve these expenditures and bring it up again on the next meeting. Maybe you can, I'll make copies this time and give it to everybody.
Excellent.
Because I obviously don't want to make any decisions without the rest of the council seeing this. So I'd move to...
So what's been provided is a list of the receipts that comprise that $72,000.
That is correct.
Okay. Well, I move that we table this until we all have a copy of it to look at and then take action on that.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Move on to 2. Trustees Setterstone, discussion for possible action, consideration and discussion to create a payment schedule to pay off the White Pine Historical Railroad Foundation account 255, note payable to Mark and Joan Bassett, an amount of $72,399.22. The Railroad Management Board, Scott made up a payment. It wasn't a payment schedule, it was just, do you want to say, yeah, if I can speak to that, sure.
So, and I don't know if we now need to do this in light of what happened with the previous action, but I do have a copy for Jennifer and I have a copy for everybody else. Excuse me, provided a copy to Mr. Sears. What it essentially is, it's an agreement that acknowledges this $72,399.22. It has a number of different payment triggers in it. Mr. Sears has looked at it. I think I've incorporated the changes that he has. I sent it to him last night. His suggestion was that we also have a promissory note that covers these amounts. So I have copies of those documents here. I did not get them to the City Council in advance, and I apologize for that. But I don't know if your designs on this to simply table this. So I should let you know also, just while we're on the record, that our firm is personal counsel to Mr. Bassett, and just helped him on these issues. But I guess I just put it to the Board of Trustees to see what you guys want to do now with this action item. If it's tied to the first one and it just gets tabled and we can deal with it later. Otherwise, I can pass out the agreement and the promissory note and answer any questions that you guys may have.
Well, before you pass out, I have a suggestion for the Board of Trustees. Since the railroad is in financial problems, and this was already granted by them, if the trustees accept it, I could consider the City Council pay off this note, because he was not sure if it was agreeable, if we can get from council, should pay off this note at no interest over a 5-year period, and the city would repay that loan. And take the loan off the railroad books and take that money and make a loan out to the city of Ely. That's an option I would like to see, which we'd have to re-agenda, but for everyone to think that's an option that we would be supporting the railroad. We would take basically almost $73,000 off of their indebtedness. If we can agree on 0% interest on over 5 years, it would be something like what, $1,500. Richie, you're really good for that.
I think I had $7,200 a year, would pay it off in 10 with no interest, obviously. And if you want to do it in half that time, double the payment.
I think it's worth discussing, absolutely. It's an agenda item.
Well, it's agenda. Consideration, discussion to create a payment schedule to pay off the note. So it's clearly...
It's already on.
But the motion would have to be to take it off the railroad books, and the loan would have to be the city's note and not the railroad's note.
Well, having the city pick up this debt would certainly help the railroad, would it not, Mark?
Well, I'd like to address that. Number one, I asked my wife to put her to cover her ears. We're not asking for this to be paid back. I mean, we want it to be paid back, but I want to make it crystal clear. We have not come to the management board, we have not come to the board of trustees to request this to be paid back. It will be paid back when the foundation itself can actually do that. Now, not to say I don't consider that, $72,000 is a great deal of money. But if the trustees wanted to help us out, I would prefer they take over the guarantee on the $95,000 loan that allowed us to put Locomotive 93 back in service. I mean, we have not requested this to be paid back at all.
Stop you just because that was not agenda.
Okay, well, if we're talking about agenda,
yeah, so you know where I'm going.
Well, sure.
Okay.
And I fully understand that, but we're not requesting this to be paid back. The foundation has raised all of the money to do the rebuilds on the equipment, to stabilize the buildings, to repair track, the whole
We're
bit.
just talking about this $72,000. That's agenda item.
Okay, we're not requesting it to be paid back.
That's understood, but it still shows up on the book that was on the books as a loan that was made by you to the foundation, which everyone is wrong. And it should just be, we can fix it.
I have another question for the attorney. Rich, I'm obviously in favor of helping the railroad, regardless of what some of the public might think. I think that the city, assuming taking over the repayment of this loan to Mark, would be a help to the railroad. It would be $72,000 that would be off the books. My question is another ethics question. A little like Anthony back there, I came to this town to go to work for the railroad. Okay. I like to hear a steam whistle every time I wake up in the morning. I bought a house right next to the railroad, and I think that house would be devalued if it weren't running. Would an action like this to help the railroad with city money be an ethics violation?
You would not benefit any differently than any other citizen of White Pine County or the city of Ely by lowering the debt position of the railroad. Okay. You don't stand to benefit, you don't stand to lose.
So I could vote on this issue?
Yeah, I don't see why not.
I move that the city council, how would I say that? Assume this debt. Mark Bassett. I'm sorry, the Board of Trustees of the railroad. Assume this debt to Mr. Bassett.
Question for discussion. Where are we going to get the funds to pay for it? Just out of sheer curiosity.
We're going to address that when we came up on that agenda item.
I'd like to.
Since we can't put our
there's no second.
Our clerk treasurer on the spot.
Let me amend that. That of course is pending approval of the receipts, the item 1. I presume that that's all in order. We would have to approve that first. So I'd like to take care of this action by asking the Board of Trustees to assume that debt to Mr. Bassett.
Let me change your motion a little bit. Okay. Because the Board of Trustees of the railroad is a person, and the City Council is a different person. I think your motion should read, we move to ask the City of Ely, by and through its mayor and council, to assume the debt to Mark Bassett and to create a repayment schedule to promptly repay the funds.
I knew there was a reason we hired you. Jennifer, did you get that word? Thank you.
I'll second.
Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None.
Mr. Durbridge, can I make a comment about that?
Part of motion?
Yes. And the thing is, you're starting a slippery slope. I mean, what is the difference in the debt to me than the debt to our coal supplier?
Well, I think we mentioned it before. It's quite a bit. It was one of the deficiencies in the audit.
Yeah, the auditors didn't red flag the coal supplier.
The auditors red flagged your loan to you. So that's pretty much it. So with that, we'll close this reading of the White Pine Struggle Road. Oh, I do have new business, sorry. New business. One, Executive Director Bassett, discussion of possible action, review and possible approval of bylaw changes for the White Pine Historical Railroad Foundation as requested by the Management Board as per the railroad, as per the foundation bylaws section